Okay. So please, Alberto, you can start.
I wish you all a good afternoon. I am opening this webinar meeting. Oasis of peace. We need oasis of peace. We need the word peace to spread it everywhere in the world. A world increasingly full by hate, violence, and wars. There is a need for culture of peace. Culture of peace to reach the minds, to remain in the minds, and to inspire the action of all people. We must do everything possible to make it happen. For this reason, it is a great joy for all of us to participate today in this meeting on the experience of coexistence in the village Neve Shalom, Wahat al-Salam. For this, I am especially grateful to Sama Salem, who took the time to speak to us directly from the village in Israel. We are really curious. We are aware that an oasis is only an oasis, and that around, even in Israel, there are many bad signs of violence and hate. But we cultivate the hope that the crazy dream of the village can go beyond its borders and involve more and more many other people of goodwill. My name is Alberto Stenico. I am chairman of Antenna, an NGO which receives and transmits news and experience on the topic of peace in the Middle East. We are located in South Tyrol, a pluriethnical province, also confronted with the challenge of the coexistence. I thank very much Verena Massel, South Tyrolean citizen, who will testify to her experience in the village. And then Francesco Palermo of the European Academy for the contribution about the general context in which the Oasis of Peace is located. I must also apologize for his involuntary absence from this meeting of Joachim Innerhofer, director of the Jewish Museum of Merano. Greeting and thanks to all guests connected online. Our webinar will last 1 hour and it will be possible to ask questions in chat. I give the floor to Francesco Palermo.
Thank you, Alberto, and a warm welcome also from me to this interesting seminar. It's actually something that we have been thinking about for a while to provide a positive message and to see that despite the division of societies and despite everything is happening currently worldwide, there are some, as Alberto mentioned, crazy dreamers, or people who are trying to go a little bit beyond this separation and division in societies and experiment with something new. This experience might be better known in Israel and in the surroundings. It's certainly less known in Europe, and I think this is a good opportunity for all of us to learn more about it it and also to pose questions. So my role of moderator will be a very moderated one in the sense that I will pass the floor and then perhaps make a few comments just to link the various concepts and what has been said by the speakers, and then invite to the discussion. And I'm sure that there will be a lot of curiosities and questions to be asked to our speakers. So I understand the first and let's say keynote speaker will be Sama Salem, who is the head of communication and development of the village. And she will illustrate how this village works, how the idea was born, how it is managed in practice, what are the difficulties they are facing, and for sure then there will be many questions she will be ready to answer, I'm sure. And then we have, it's a great pleasure, as Alberto already mentioned, Verena Masl, who is a board member of the Italian Friends of the Village, and she has done an internship back in 2016, right, in the village itself, and wrote her master thesis on the second generation of people who live and work in the village. So she can bring, let's say, a European perspective of somebody who has an insight in the experience of the village. So without further ado, I will pass the floor to Sama, thanking her again also on my behalf for having accepted this invitation. We understand that you have also other commitments, so we will try to make the best out of your precious time. And thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope that you hear me well. And welcome to my work, Wahed al-Salam, Neve Shalom, Oasis of Peace. I am a social worker. I'm mother of 3 children. 3, they are like now adults, mostly boys. And maybe I will start with my personal story, because most of the families who choose to live in Wahed al-Salam, Neve Shalom, were born somewhere else in the region in Palestine, Israel, and I am one of them. I grew up in a family that considered itself refugees. Our original village, Sajara, was destroyed in the war in '48, and all my extended family ended up in refugee camps in Syria and Lebanon. Now, after what's happened in Syria, they are mainly in Holland and Germany and Sweden. But for some reason, my grandfather take the opposite way and ended up in the new upcoming state of Israel. So we became Palestinians who are considered citizens of Israel. So they traveled around and they settled in a next town or village next to their original village that they couldn't go back to. And instead of Sajara, there was built a Jewish settlement on the same place with the same name, I have to say. Sajara, it's a tree, and sorry, it's Ramadan Kareem. So now it's the time to break my fast. So my son bring me a glass of water. So Ramadan Kareem for everyone. So I have, he bring me this date, little date and the water. So after 12-hour fasting, I have to drink something.
Okay, Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem. So, but they have much more in their on the table, just to understand. They have big meal in the kitchen. Anyway, so I grew up in an Arab village in the north of Israel in the Galil. My both parents are teachers, but my story with shared society with the Jewish people started with the books that I learned. In Israel, the education system, I'm speaking about the public education system, is segregated. That means that the Arab students, the children, learn separately from the Jewish. So there is no mixed or shared education or funded by the government. So I like 99% of the kids. I grew up in Arab school. I learned Arabic. I learned Hebrew. It's mandatory. But I learned about the Holocaust. I learned about the Jewish history because it was mandatory. It's still something that you have to learn as an Arab student. And I spoke very weird Hebrew because it was from the Bible. And with this package, I landed in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. It was the year after Oslo, or in the 90s. And I was shocked. In the Hebrew University, there was a lots of Jewish around me, Jewish people, and we did not communicate. Nobody approached me. They were afraid from this Arab girl. They didn't know I'm Muslim, I'm Christian. They have so many stereotypes about a Muslim woman, why I'm not wearing hijab, because I'm oppressed, abused, all kind of bad stereotypes about Palestinians. And I found out that I am in better shape than them. I speak broken Hebrew, but I do speak. I know something about their history and my history as a Palestinian, but they don't know anything about me. They don't know what is Ramadan is, for example, why we are celebrating few things. And this is the beautiful things. I'm not speaking about the Nakba, what's happened in 48, why I'm refugee, why my family is in refugee camp in Syria. So nobody deal with these issues in the public education system. And the university, in the Hebrew University, I understand that this is not gonna happen to my kids. Something failed in the public education system in Israel. We are not prepared to this meeting. We are not prepared for the reality, the simple reality, that in between the Jordanian River and the Mediterranean live two people, Arab and Jewish, Palestinian and Israelis. According to my research, nobody have any intention to leave in the next, century, maybe. So we have to be prepared. We have to do better with communication, with shared society, with peace. And in Jerusalem, there is no peace. I learned in the Hebrew University, few minutes next to Bab al-Amud, to the old city of Jerusalem, lots of things happening, and you probably hear the bad news and the violence, the occupation, what's happened in the holy places. This is really bad. So I decided that this is not what my future's kids will have. I get married in Jerusalem, and I have a small kid called Ward. He's now 26, and he became 4 years old. I was looking for another thing to teach him. I wanted him to do better than me. And I couldn't find any decent education system in Jerusalem, not in East Jerusalem and not in Western Jerusalem. The only school that accept this diversity or multicultural, it was international school, American school. So I have to pay $10,000 to produce another American kids to this world. So I skipped that. We have enough from these people. I need my kid to be a Palestinian, proud and good citizen, and who know his history and other people's history. In the year 2000, he was 4 years old. I was so much pregnant, the second child. We decided to move to Wahat Salam Neve Shalom. My partner was a group facilitator in this village, and he worked with so-called the School for Peace. The School for Peace is the institution who bring people together to speak about the conflict, to have dialogue, Arab and Jewish. And he told me that there is really very noisy school next to him. It's called bilingual, binational school, Arab kids and Jewish kids learning together. And if I want to see it, if it's good for our word, our son. And in the next day, I found myself in the first grade and with my big belly, observing what's happening in the first grade in Waht al-Salam Nabih Shalom, I found 25 kids, Arab and Jewish. You can't tell who's the Arab, who's the Jewish, with very beautiful place, speaking Arabic and Hebrew, and every naive symbol of peace, rainbows, those olive trees, Arabic, everything, like it was too much, you know, too good to be true. And everybody seemed happy with two teachers, Arab and Jewish. Maybe it's the hormones of the pregnancy, but everyone seemed to me very happy. And I decided that this is good enough for my kid. I don't need more than that. So we decided to move to the village to live here, and the great timing, the tragic timing actually. We moved 5 days before the second Intifada started in Jerusalem in the year 2000, October 2000. We found ourselves here. My second child was born in October 5th. And in many, many ways, this community, this amazing place saved me from the war, from the hate, the incitement, from discrimination. And we are allowed here to to dream about something different that we deserve, and certainly our kids deserve. I'm leading the Communication and Development Office in the last 5 years. I am very active in the feminist struggle, gender-based violence, and I work with abused women in the Arab society. And a few years ago, I found myself full-time job here in the education system in Waht al-Salam Nabih Shalom, trying to lead the communication with the world, to communicate what's happening here, and to try to gather friends and partners from Italy, Germany, Sweden, Britain, France, and the United States, everywhere. We dream about that day, that when this region is ready and to stop being stupid and fight all the time. And when people realize that nobody have alternative way or better alternative way to stay, and they will seek for our help. How do you do it? Waht al-Salam, we will voluntarily teach everyone. Waht al-Salam was founded, and now this is the official presentation of our foundation. Was founded 42 years ago. And I want to share my screen with you. It was founded by this group of people. Bruno Hussar is Father Bruno Hussar is the founder. Is this with the white hair? He is Jewish. He was a Jewish boy born in Egypt and converted to Christianity in France. And his church sent him to the Holy Land to build a peace project between Muslims, Jewish people, and Christians. And after the 67 war, Palestinians and Israelis who met him told him very soon that it's not a religious war. It's not conflict between Palestinian Christian or Palestinian Muslims or Palestinian Jewish. It's about people, about nations. It's national conflict between two nations who claim the same land. And this is the story. So they converted the project to national, bilingual, binational project of peace. And after so many, dialogue groups, summer camps, trying to do something together, the Church of Latrun gave them the space, the hell that you see here. Nothing was here. And they decided to walk the talk. They were very big dreamers. Someone here said the crazy people. Some people still believe that we are the crazy people. And they decided to move in together, to walk the talk, to try, like not talking about peace and intentions, and try to do it. So we were very, very lucky that the Church of Latroon donated the first piece of land. It's according to the international law, it's no man land, meaning that it's not Israeli occupied territories. There is it's not state land, and it was belonged to the Palestinian territories. But according to the international law, it belonged to the church. So it's blood free, I call it. Nobody was demolished there or destroyed homes or villages, so we can't build peace project on the remains of others. So it's perfect. It's located between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, Al-Quds. And they started this project without nothing, no infrastructure, nothing. And this is one of the pictures now, what's happening in Wahd al-Salam. And now we have also the extension here. We have new homes as well. And the first 4 families who live in a bus, now we are 78 families, half Arab, half Jewish, 50% Palestinian, 50% Jewish Israelis. And we have a waiting list for hundreds of families who want to live here and to live in the same equal democratic community. But you know, when people live here and without electricity, without water, without internet in the 70s, they make babies. So in a few years, they wanted to educate these babies, and they couldn't send the same kids to the same segregated education system outside, because the whole point is to be together. So in '84, we opened the first bilingual binational school. Some people said in the world, I won't go that far, in the region, Arab and Jewish kids live and learn together with 2 teachers, Arab teacher and Jewish teacher. So now we have 300 kids in the village in the primary school, which started illegal. Now it's formal, and we have the recognition of the state of Israel. It's a unique school. It's not public, but it's recognized. That means that we are allowed to accept kids. 90% of the kids come from outside the village, because we are very small, and we want to educate others to be bilingual, binational, from the surrounded area, from 19 villages and town. We start with the age of 3 months till the 6th grade. Our dream is to have secondary school and high school, which is much complicated and expensive, and we are trying to fundraise money for that dream as well. So when we educate our kids, we intentionally speak Arabic and Hebrew. It's very expensive education because we don't have the support of the public system. In Israel, the public education is supposed to be free. And because we are in the top of that hill, we have to transfer the kids from their original homes to the village every day. So we fundraise money for buses and transportations, scholarship. And because we have 2 teachers in the classroom, especially in the 1st grade and the kindergarten, when the kids are not bilingual, they don't speak both languages in the same level. So we have to put Arab and Jewish teachers in the same time. So we also have small groups. So it can't be 40 kids because we can't handle that. So the primary school, this is the 1st grade this year. Every year we absorb more 25 kids, so we are growing up, and we are very proud of that. if we have the funds, you know, we will have a place for everyone. But because it's semi-private, we can't absorb everyone, and this is really, really sad days because we have 120 applications for the first grade, and we could accept 25. And this is really sad, because if little ones like these beautiful kids, boys and girls, want to be with us, and I don't have money to bring them in, it's always frustrating. So so we don't really speak about peace. We make it, you know, make it happen. We teach in everything in both languages, but we decided also that the curriculum, the material that the public system in Israel offer to the Arab kids and the Jewish kids is different. It's two different stories. For example, the history books in Hebrew told us that it was empty land, and the new immigration, the 5 wave of immigration, come to this empty desert and, you know, make Israel happen. And for the Palestinians, it was Palestine under the British mandate, and then the Zionist movement came and occupied the territories and excel, and the Palestinians, and then we have the refugee problem and Jerusalem and 67. It's a different story. So we have to invent and to rewrite the curriculum in the way that absorb and tell both narratives, and it's very, very hard work. So in 35 years, we did every mistake you can imagine, you know, how we teach the kids. So we learn from experience. We use a lot of creativity. We have music program, agriculture program, environmental program, community garden, lots of special programs, even beekeeping, you know, honey thing. To be recycling. All the material is speaking about being together and shared everything together, and our responsibility as Arab and Jewish for this place. And we learned with, you know, that it's complicated and important and much easier to educate the little ones than their parents, for example. So we started with the School for Peace. The School for Peace is a dialogue program led by one of the founders of Wahat al-Salam Neve Shalom, Dr. Nava Sonnenschein.
Excuse me, Sana. Just one question, because I'm still seeing the first slide. Could you show the next pictures of the village? Because I can still see the first slide.
You don't see the
no, I just see the first one. I'm sorry to interrupt, just because I
really? I moved around 16 slides since then.
Oh.
And I was concerned about the timing, saying that if you're still in the first
go,
slide.
because I'm in the middle. Okay, maybe I'll stop share and share again.
Okay.
You should say something about it before. I am like, I was so you see this?
Yes, the first one.
Can you scroll down? Yes, now it works. Yep.
Now you see the numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Sama, can I ask, because now you were speaking about the primary school, and I was very interested because what I see during my internships, how you handled the religious holidays of the kids. That was what I was very amazed of, how this was very complicated, but you, like, the school is really great to like make it a place for all the religions. How do you handle this in the, for example, current situation when there is Ramadan and I guess Pesach and Easter?
Well, in last Thursday, we have a big celebration with the community. Hundreds of kids come with their parents, and we have a Ramadan festival and Easter and Passover. We eat a lot, as you know, with if you want to celebrate and everything. But we use the good message from each religion. You know, we believe in Islam and Judaism and Christianity. There are lots of peace messages that humans always, you know, forget or choose to forget, about tolerance and accepting and respect and patience and to be compassion and mercy. So we choose the text that shared our values, and we decide, you know, to give the space for holidays, the religious holidays, with the story to share with the kids and their families and celebrate ourselves. And it happened a few days ago in Ramadan, and it was really nice event, because families who choose to this kind of education know that they have to learn about other people that they usually don't face in their ordinary life, because they are separated outside. So it was amazing to see Jewish families with Christian families, Muslim families celebrating Ramadan, and after the big meal, we all have this wonderful show from 3 religions and 3 occasions, and each class take one religion or one holiday, Passover or Easter and Ramadan and Fitr, and they perform to the community. So they tell the story in Arabic and in Hebrew. It was amazing to see the muazzin, like the prayers in Arabic instead of the school bell. So and to see this, you know, Jewish kid give the blessing before the iftar, before we break our fast. So this is the practice, the small things that we insist to practice. It maintain our you know, community and our values, and we teach the upcoming generation that this is how we do it. This is how we respect each other and how to give space, and there is room for everyone if we want to. So this is what we do, what we're trying to do. Sometimes it's difficult. Actually, the religious holidays is much easier than the national holidays. For example, the Independence Day. How we celebrate this thing when half of the school, the Palestinians, don't really celebrate the Independence Day. It's really challenging. So what we do in the Holocaust Day, for example. So this is something international, and we do give the respect to that day, but the Memorial Day for the soldiers is something that we could not do, but the Jewish kids want to memorize. So it's optional. We open that for families who choose to be there. It's the same thing with the Nakba Day, the 48, what's happened in Palestine. It's May 15. So there is a ceremony with the Arab kids telling the story of their grandmother and father, and tell what happened in 48 to their people. And it's also optional, and it's open to everyone who want to hear the story. So we are very, very sensitive in these issues. And also it depends on the level. Like the 1st grade, it's not like the 6th grade. So we don't want to overdose this history with each other, and to celebrate the current situation, that we do have very painful history, but we have very good present, and we dream about positive future. This is the message from every ceremony that we have. I want to put back to the School for Peace and what we call change agent project. The dialogue between adults, between people who want to speak about the conflict and to solve the conflict. For many years, we qualified people who want to meet each other and not only to pass by. It's not like when I learned at the university, I didn't have any Jewish friends, and to speak to them and to be part of what's happening around me. So in the School for Peace, we bring people, students, or social workers, or environmentalists, or lawyers together, or upcoming politicians, media people together. We call it Change Agent Project for a meaningful long-term project. It's not one session like this. It has to be a process of learning at least 1 year. And in the last 40 years, we have around 70,000 graduates. You can't find any peace organization without our graduates involved in, and human rights organization and activists and social activists. Because when we recruit these people and looking for the change that they might be able to bring to this world, for example, architects, it's not like peace thing, and it's not like they are peace activists, but architects are responsible for urban planning. And if we are fighting about the land and we want to help unrecognized villages in the south, we need their services. So if we have a group of Arab and Jewish architects who learn on the ground the problem and trying to offer alternative way of distributing the land more equally and peacefully between Arab and Jewish citizens of Israel, we did a lot. We have, for example, a group of people, activists now, who are trying to solve the housing problem in shared cities like Tel Aviv and Lod and Ramle and Akko, because the Israel give subsidies and public housing for Jewish less than Arab, and we want to have access and equal housing for all. So we do a lot of projects around the conflict, and we do also massive gathering, demonstrations, and other activities to fight and trying to bring the awareness in the world and in the Israeli society, especially about the occupation, what happened to Palestinians, behind the separation wall. So Waht al-Salam Neve Shalom, and it's very important to know, it's one of the very few organizations who still do cross-border programs with Palestinians from the Palestinian Authority. The third branch or institution, we have the Pluralistic Spiritual Center. We do not consider ourselves a religious village. Most of us are secular, and we don't have intentionally any synagogue or a church or a mosque, but we have this pluralistic multicultural center, and we invite everyone to interfaith leadership to come and to pray and to be here about and to speak about the role of the spirituality and religion promoting peace. This is one of the last interfaith programs that we have, and this amazing group of people start before the corona, continue their dialogue group, and we have 4 religions actually, including Druze leaders, and every one of them now are leading small project in the other community, to teach about the religion, the Druze, Muslim, Christian, Jewish religions to the congregation or other people, in order to bring, to promote tolerance between interfaith group.
Sama, sorry, I'm just getting concerned about the time. It's mostly because of you.
I need 2 minutes.
Yes, yeah, sure, because we would listen forever. It's so very interesting. The question is that there will be also some questions, and you will have certainly the opportunity to round up the information. So please, yeah, go ahead and complete your presentation, because it's highly interesting. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And we don't want to keep you from eating for too long.
Fine. Okay, I'm spiritually eating, so I'm thrilled and full. So thank you for the platform and the listening. In the Spiritual Center, I want to introduce you because we have here part of our Italian friends, and we 7 years ago we started amazing program in the village with this man. I don't know if you see him, Yair Oron, Professor Yair Oron. with the International Rescuer Day. The International Rescuer Day is, according to the international community, it's March 6th. And we opened the first rescuer garden in the region, in Wahed Salam, Neve Shalom. We plant olive tree to memorize humans around the world who save other people's lives, no matter if they are Jewish, Muslim, any other religion. And this initiative, it started with a great organization from Italy called Garivo, and who offered this opportunity, and the community voted for that. And now we have the ceremony every year, bringing international people and local people who save others' lives. So it's the International Rescuer Day. We do a lot of virtual events because of the corona, and in different days I could be with you in some beautiful place in Italy, but the corona pushed us to the virtual world and allow us to meet virtually. We also, as a community, are very dedicated to the humanitarian aid, and we help Gaza hospitals. And with the Friend Association, we have a group of physicians and doctors from the village who are active in Physicians Without Borders, who go and help communities in Gaza every month. Maybe I want to stop with that, or to say a few words about the community. We, as a community, we vote for everything. We have General Assembly, we have municipality.
Yes, that was going to be one of my questions, actually. So
yeah,
yes,
like
go ahead.
any other community. So we have a local council. We vote for the board, basically. And we are very happy that after 40 years, we elected the first female board chair, Rita Boulos. And so even in peaceful places, men take control of everything. So we also did a revolution in that area as well. And she's doing amazing. The community, you have to be a member, you have to be accepted in order to be part of the community, to be part of the General Assembly, and to vote for our policies, the projects, everything related to our everyday life. So sometimes very hard work, sometimes very intensive. So family who want to move to Wahed Salam, Neve Shalom, it can't just enjoy the place and the summer and the view. You have to be part of what's happening around you. And for example, to participate each week in Ramadan together, and to demonstrate if you need you, and to help with the humanitarian aid if you need you. So we have so many things to be involved in. And we are a very, very active community, as you can imagine. And thank you for listening. I speak a lot, I know. But maybe if you have any question, I will be here and be happy to answer.
Thank you so much. That was extremely interesting, and I'm sure there will be lots of questions. So don't want to prevent them, and they'll have the opportunity to explain better what is happening actually in the village. I myself would have a few, but before that, we have Verena Masl, who is kind enough to share with us her experience in the village from, let's say, an outsider's perspective, if you want, and tell us something that has especially remained with her and that she was bringing home from this experience. Verena, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, 2016, I was sent by the Italian Friends Association. I got a scholarship and had the opportunity to stay 6 months as an intern in the communication development office. And so I, my main tasks were to document and also update the Italian Friends Association about the project at the primary school, as well as the School for Peace and the other projects the village had. And during this time, I also wrote my master thesis and did interviews with the second generation, so the children of the founder generation, which was extraordinarily interesting for me, because their view about their time in primary school, as well as their time when they left the school and went like to the high school, which was not a shared school anymore. So this was the main focus, was very interesting to me. Let's say it's very hard to pick out one like experience or moment of these 6 months, but let's say what made me the most was like the attitude about the living together, and also the saying what many of the village say, like that we agree also to not agree. So it doesn't mean that always everything needs to be, it's everything like harmony, or let's say everything always perfect, but there are of course also conflicts, discussions about very various topics. But for me it was very genuine to see how they were resolved, like people talk to each other, and it was also sometimes issues were discussed a lot, but at least like we talk. And I think this is the basis on about the living together, that there is this discourse and there is this like the communication. And about like what you talked before, Samar, about the religious holidays at school, as well as the Memorial Days, was very interesting to me, because I did the interviews with also children of the 4th grade with the help of somebody of the 2nd generation, which translated for me. And this was very interesting to see how like children perceived it. There were coming some responses like from 10-year-olds from outside the village, which said already, yes, this school is very special, this school is very unique. And they understood, even not being from the village, that they were in a very special context, which was so much different from their village members, from like I'm talking from the kids coming from outside the village, because there are in the primary school, there are like, correct me Samar if I'm wrong, like 10% of the children are from the village, and 90% of the children are coming from outside communities, kibbutz, or Arab villages, which are not like living together. And these children already experienced how special this school is by talking that to their friends in their villages, and they understood, okay, this is a very unique reality, which is different from my friends at this village where I'm living. So I would say this was one of the most, let's say, inspiring thing for me, that already the children of 10 years old, which went by bus every day to the school, understood that this is very, very different from that what they lived at home. I don't know, Samar, what you experiences. How many classes do you have at the moment, like in 1st grade?
We have 11.
Okay.
Okay.
And the number's still growing, right? Is it like?
Yeah, we have two classes in the same grade, except the 1st grade. We have one class.
I have a question which was also asked before by somebody, which would be interesting. There was an expansion of the village recently, like new families were moving in. How is this new, let's say, how is this new neighborhood developing?
Okay, so it's really exciting, because we this time when we bought, actually we have collective money from everyone, and we bought extra piece of land from the church. It's not was donation, so it was much more expensive, and we divided it to small lots in order to absorb more families. So now we are allowed to absorb more 90 families. So in the next 15 years we will have more, and most of the families are very excited to move. It's take them like few years to build their home. So we have this new neighborhood, and full of young families, and part of the families are in the 2nd generation. So the kids who were born 40 years ago, now they have their families, and 70% from the like the next generation come, back to the village to live and to establish their family. We give access to one son or daughter to continue, because we want to bring people from outside, not on the same families. And so we have to absorb 90 families. We are now in the middle of the process, but we do have the new Neve Shalom, Wahd Salam, Oasis of Peace, and I'm very angry that they have their own WhatsApp group. As
Yes.
But yeah, we have like the old people, and they are the new people, the cool, and yeah.
So you say that there is some effort also to get like, do you have some events where also the new families participate already?
Of course, the observation, they are very active and excited, and because they have kids, and so we reopen the kindergarten, the nursery, and they now actually, just to understand, the board of the education institution is mostly led by the new families, the young generation, and this is really interesting thing to do research if you want to come to the village again and to see the differences between the founders and the new generation, the new families who have demands and need, all the luxury, and they do not, they want everything to be fixed and beautiful. And when the founder said, like, we didn't have electricity when we come, you are spoiled kids, and so we have this gap, and we have this change of leadership and development, and it's really, really good thing to happen, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Verena, you're still in the mood of asking questions, or you have something else to add to your presentation to that? Shall we open the floor to questions from participants?
Yes, I think it's a good idea.
So thanks for opening up, and in fact it was a very important question. So while I'm inviting all the participants to raise questions or make comments, let me, by virtue of breaking the ice, ask two questions, if I may. One is something that the South Tyrolean friends will clearly understand very well, and it is sort of a legal question. How did you manage to get the bilingual curriculum recognized by the authorities? This is really something fascinating. And then perhaps speaking of schools, how you said that you get many more, some 5 times more applications than you have places. So what are the criteria according to which you select the pupils in schools?
Oh, thank you. So the curriculum takes many, many years to be recognized. We started as unrecognized school, and then I don't know if you know the politics in Israel, but when the merits, it's left-wing party was in Rabin government in the 90s. The Minister of Education, she was very, very radical and with us. So she came, she observed and says, like, why you are illegal? So she gave us the permission. And then the Likud, the right-wing parties came, and they take the recognition, the permit back. So it's like a tango. We fight, all the time. And 7 years ago, there was Shai Piron as education minister, and his approach was to give recognition to special schools. He didn't think about bilingual education. He thought about the inter-Pacific education and the religious private schools. And he says, like, you will have the freedom to operate if you have our supervision. Okay, so we agree about the main curriculum, and you have freedom with 50% of the thing. So we squeeze in that thing, and in the last minute we sign up the papers, and then 1 week after the the whole thing changed. The government disappeared, and we have election. And we did have Bennett as the education minister. It was really hard because he didn't like what we do, but he was very small time, so he couldn't do a lot. So we play the game. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes when we have this supervisor who came and says, what you are doing in the United Day of Jerusalem, for example, we have to celebrate that as a public school. So he says, like, Jerusalem is occupied and it's not really united. And so we can't teach something who are opposite from our story. So we decided to celebrate Jerusalem as a city of three religions and tolerance. And we did a beautiful exhibition about the three religions. And when this supervisor came and she says, okay, you passed, but I will see you in the Independent Day. So so sometimes we have this, you know, naggy and, you know, we are under the eyes of the system. But believe me, when they have a peace delegation from Trump administration or want to show that they have this peace village, they beg me to come. And I refuse, for example, to accept here a few delegations from the foreign affairs of Israel, especially from Trump administration. When they wanted to celebrate the embassy in Jerusalem, they wanted to visit us and to have the teaching film, like the to picture the film, to do the movie, this promoting for in the village. So it's so ignorant, so stupid things. We couldn't allow this to happen. But when Clinton came, for example, or peace activists or Dalai Lama, so we accept such a thing. We are under the radar, we can say. So now we are recognized, and we have also partners. We have hand-in-hand schools. There is 7 bilingual schools in Israel. We are very small, tiny, and we are looking for, you know, to be formal and official, and to, you know, go out of the closet. About the selection, we take kids who have sisters and brothers already in the system, so they have priority. And from the regional council, we live in a regional councils that the municipality give us some help with the transportation. So we give kids who are around us priority, and kids who have brothers and sisters. And the third criteria is if we have from his neighborhood and on his village empty spot in the taxi in the morning. But usually we don't get there because we have over, you know, books and number, like huge number of applications.
Excuse me, about the financing. Are you able to self-financing, or you have to pay taxes? Like, what kind of financing have you?
So we have 2 things. Like, we have the municipal things. Like, so we are like the other citizen. We pay taxes for the municipality, for the infrastructure, cleaning, all the kind of sewage system. So we like everyone in that sense. But the non-profit organization, it's we decided 15 years ago. So we fundraise money from foundation around the world only for the education system. It's not for our welfare, or like we are not in the founding period. So we exist. We don't need the tractor or a road or a water system. Okay, we are not there, thank God. So we fundraise money as a non-profit. Who lead that I lead the Amuta called. It's non-profit organization registered in Israel. So we fundraise money for the primary school, the School for Peace, and the Spiritual Center, and the youth movement. So this is only for education purposes. We are lucky to have friend association like the Italian friend, the Swiss friend, who are non-profits, who are trying to help us fundraise money for our education work. we also apply for grants in foundations, and we all looking for partners like you, as I assume, people who want to support peace movement in Israel Palestine, the EU, USAID, Civic, and other family foundations. So we are always chasing the money as non-profit organization do.
Compliments. It's the right way to be independent in this, in the education, especially.
Yep, I know, but we are not independent yet. We also, the parents pay for the part of the like 50% of the tuition fees, so it's not fully subsidized. So it also helps.
I'm looking at the chat whether there are questions or from some other participant or panelist. So just in case, let me know. I'm happy to post or forward this question. If there aren't, may I perhaps ask, what is the incentive for parents to send children to your school in particular? And well, I imagine that there could be an incentive, a very strong commitment to live in the village, but to send children to the school. And you say you have many requests. Given the fact that the legal situation is unstable in a way, you never know, that you might face difficulties of all sorts, but still people appreciate it. So what is their motivation behind and to go beyond these obstacles?
So it's different between Arab families and Jewish families, I have to say. It's much difficult for Jewish families. We have most of the application are from the Arab side, I have to say. And when we have incidents or war in Gaza or something, people are afraid. Sometimes they hesitate and they cancel their application. And we have to speak and to like visit them at home and to because they will, especially the small ones, like people when they start the first grade, they never leave. Okay, but it's like the huge step for them to leave their neighborhood with beautiful Jewish school to go outside. So most of the families know what they are applying for, and we do also preparation days like tours in the summer to know what they are going to go through. And to understand that, for example, the holidays schedule is different from the public school. The parents want to work, so the kids have to go to the transportation. So lots of kids or parents want something different for their little ones. The bilingual thing is very attractive because now it's very popular in the Jewish society to learn this language finally. To see that in order to communicate and to have this another language. Israel is in the Middle East. You have to speak Arabic to survive. So they wake up late, and some people want this thing in their kids to understand Arabic. And it's very beautiful place with a small number of kids in the classroom. So instead 35, you have here 25 with extra staff. So it's really a good education. For the Arab families, it's they really have high competition on every spot because they want the public schools in the Arab society is very, very bad and not safe, and they want to be prepared. So they want to invest in their education and willing and much more ready to be with the Jewish people. So that's why, by the way, we have the parents community building program, because it's always challenging, for people from outside the village to understand what their kids do, and when they can't help them with the Arabic lessons, for example, and so it's combination between good education, small group, long day, subsidize and learning how to do it, and to be, to have different childhood with the others.
And you still manage to have 50-50.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Some years we have 55-45, yeah.
But this is a policy to keep it, of course. Yeah. Because there are many.
To have bilingual education, you have to have bilingual students.
Because you mentioned a lot of issues that are very common to many other minority places, right, around Europe. The issue of textbooks, for example, or the fact that if one community pushes more than the other for a certain type of education, then in the end it runs the risk to become a sort of a label for a bilingual education, but in fact it only belongs to one community, and all sort of things. Maybe, I mean, it keeps me back to the time of monitoring the implementation of minority treaties, but with regard to teachers, do you find them easily, or how do you hire them? And
so this is also a challenging thing. That's why we have the training for the teacher. Also, the training program in Israel is segregated. So we have colleges for Arab students and colleges for Jewish teachers separately, and we have few colleges are mixed, but no curriculum, no training for the teachers. They have to be very, very special. The thing is that the Palestinians are bilingual because we learn in Hebrew, so we are bilingual, fluently in 2 languages, and the Jewish teachers have to learn Arabic in practice. So for some teachers, very, very difficult. So they leave us in 1 year. It's like, it's too much. Nobody teach me how to deal with this. Arab kids, Jewish kids, 2 languages with so many kids, I can't do it. But when you learn how to do it with a Jewish or Palestinian partner, it's amazing experience. So we do have lots of change of the staff, but we have a core of 15 or 20 teachers who are staying for us for 20 years because they're really fascinating and became expert how doing it, and do their research and master's degree and to develop their quality and training. So it's if you fall in love in this approach of education, you will stay. But we do have challenging sometimes, finding the personality of an open-minded teacher to recruit.
Again, this is the last chance to ask a question because Tama has to leave. So Alberto, is he?
Yes. Also, economic question. The people living in the village are owner of these houses, or they have houses rent. Who belong the immobilian heritage of the village?
Okay.
The houses.
So the land belong to the municipal council, like the shared municipal council that we all member of. Each couple or family who are accepted to the village have the right to build a house on the land of the village. But I can't leave and give it to my cousin, for example, or friend. If you want to leave, or you have to bring this property or to someone or some other family who are accepted to the community, and it's not my choice. And after we give this piece of land, every family have to build their own home, so it's belong to them, and they can design and do whatever they want. Most of the new families have like small places, small apartments, in order to absorb, to learn. So we have now around 25 families who rent small units in the village, or they are not they don't own their home, they just rent it. And we do have a project to build 8 units for the new couples or young couples who cannot afford to, to build this big house, and they want to a small unit to their family and to rent it and to also to have income. But in order to do that, we have to change the regulation of building in the regional place, the regional council, because we considered as a village, as like a rural village, so we can't go up more than 2 floors, and we want to go bigger because we want to observe more. So this is a new project that we have in order to absorb more new families and to allow and new families to apply, because we do have a demand.
Thank you very much, Sama. Again, compliments for your project.
Thank you. Are you invited? We have visitor
hope
center.
To us.
You're
invited.
invited.
In the future.
You're invited to connect our friends association and to be part of, to get our updates, and we will be happy to host you sometimes and to visit you personally.
Thank you.
Indeed. So let me look around whether there are further questions, knowing that we have no more than 1 minute, maybe 2 max, right? So, okay, no, maybe not. But certainly you have raised a lot of curiosity, so we might get back to you again, Sama, and perhaps hope that we can perhaps look into some more detail of your village and the very idea that is behind it. So if you don't mind, we would like to pick your brain once more in the near future, and because actually we just had a first glimpse of what is happening, but certainly the curiosity is now even bigger. And of course, the invitation to connect and to even visit perhaps other experience that are not similar, but share some similar problems is valid also to you. So we hope that we can continue this dialogue.
Of course, I'll be happy to, if you need me and you need my partners as well. We have lots of people who might be good guests or speakers to your organization. We'll be happy to share our experience and expertise with you all.
Great, and we will rely a lot on Drena for her also bridging role, and get back to her as well. So thank you very, very much to all of you, and thank you for this very challenging, informative evening. Enjoy your meals now, especially those who have been fastening all day.
I have 15 minutes to the other lectures. So I will
okay,
eat fast,
so speed up. Okay. Great. Thank you all, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.